About a month after the May-June JAMB examination was written, we got word that Samson Abioye's younger sister, Miss Esther, had performed very impressively on the exam, having used the Pass.ng platform, a platform that her older brother, Samson Abioye, had set up to help JAMBites perform better at their examination and not have to sit for any exam more than once. In what is now perhaps his last ever video interview, before his untimely passing, Samson Abioye had been in the TechCity studios to share with Bella Rose his plans for Pastord.ng as well as his dreams and visions for the education tech startup sector in Nigeria. We have the founder and the CEO of Pass.ng, Samson Abioye, on TechCity Inside City. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
So real quickly though, what exactly are you trying to do? Are you trying to put special centers out of business? Are you trying to put lesson teachers out of business? Tell me exactly what the idea behind Pastord.ng is.
Okay, great. We're trying to simply make sure that every single student who sits for major exams in Nigeria pass. If you ask an average Nigerian, how many times have you written JAMB? It's going to tell you 4 times or 3. I mean, the lucky ones, maybe twice. I feel there's a very serious problem with that, whereby students are expected to wait an extra year at home before they're going into university. So what we're trying to do is to provide test materials, additional resources that can aid, the chances of students passing the exams at once, and the reason why we created Pastord.ng. I mean, I have a very particular story, a very personal story about this, where a friend where we graduated from secondary school couldn't get admitted into university until I was in my 400 level. I mean, he wrote the exam 4 good times, exactly. So he inspired, the idea where I felt as a computer engineering student, I should be able to put up something together with my friends that can help people, practice on the mobile device for this examination. So we put up resources that are most relevant to students as soon as they're going in to take these exams. And interestingly, over 250,000 students, have used our platform. I mean, while that is good, that's not like the greatest thing for us. The most interesting thing is the fact that over 60% of these students pass the exam in one attempt.
And that's the essence of Pastord.ng anyway.
Yeah, you can say that. That's the essence, but like we've not really actually been able to capture the whole total audience. I mean, that writes the exam. Every year, about 2 million people write JAMB alone, not to talk of WAEC, NECO, and some other examinations too as well. So we're still very far away from achieving that goal of making sure that every single student does not have to write this examination twice.
Now you say about 250,000 people have used the platform. Yes. If there is one thing that quite a number of people are not clear on, it's adoption. Yes. Now this exists online. Yes. Not every person who goes through a secondary school has access to some tools. So what exactly are you doing to educate some of those who are already disenfranchised, who live in underserved areas where there's no internet, who don't have smartphones? How are you able to reach these guys to use your platform?
It's been quite hard to get across to people who don't have the smartphone at first. So what we did when we created the application was to make sure that it can actually run on low-end devices, the J2ME, the Java phones, but we also had some limitations in terms of the content, the number of contents we can actually place on those devices because of the memory, limit they all have. But one thing we've done is to partner with internet.org, that is Facebook Free Basics, alongside with Airtel Nigeria, to provide this content to students free of data charges. So we zero-rated Pastord.ng for them, such that whatever kind of phone you have, you can always go online without necessarily having to have data bundle on it, and yet you can still have access to all the tests, and examination resources that we have online. And we believe that the rate at which internet penetration is going to get better in Nigeria, and people in remote areas who don't even have a blink of internet will also be able to access it with time. But right now it's online, and one of the things we've done also for people who don't even have internet access at all is we created an offline solution. It's the desktop app, we call it, and the solution helps thousands of homes that have this box computer, but the computer has never been online before. They can just buy the CD, slot it in, and every content they need is right inside it.
Talking about content, how do you curate your content, and what is your relationship with these examination bodies?
Okay, so we have a partnership with the examination bodies.
Cool.
I mean, to license the questions to us, and we add extra values to it, a whole lot of values to it, in the sense that we sat down, demystified, worked across the network of tutors that we have, and demystified every single question, such that it could be in a the solution can be provided, and all students can easily assimilate it. So we broke it down, to such an extent that how Jambites or you're studying for WAEC, you can easily see how we arrived at those answers.
That would have taken a lot, though, when you're sitting. What's the process like? So, because it takes about a year for each exam to get conducted, what's the process of putting that together on your platform?
I mean, we have in-house processes that we've mastered over time to do this, but the bulk of thing is actually handled in-house by us. What we do is to engage all of the best brains in these different subject areas to come work with us. So once you are inside, we handle the whole of the thing ourselves.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the fact that you're doing Pass.ng, there is a conversation around Nigerian startups not being ambitious enough to try other parts of Africa, for instance, and just scale to other parts of the world. Do you think that having a platform like Pass.ng that's serving Nigeria, do you think you are maybe cutting yourself off from the potentials of being bigger than what you are right now?
Well, no, if you ask me, because for instance, we've had emails, we've received messages from people who are living in Tanzania and even in Ghana. There was a user who particularly requested that he has to pay, but he doesn't know how he's going to pay, and he's in Ghana, right? Even though it is Pastord.ng. I will admit to the fact that domain names, of course, limit the way people receive the reception, of the product in other countries, right? And it is always good for, startups, while they start small, they should always think global. So the thinking behind us is, let's solve this problem in Nigeria. Let's understand it. Let's know how it is best can be dealt with here, using Nigeria as a case study. And with that, we can scale all across Africa. I mean, we can get like a real catchy name that is going to be more receptive to them in other countries.
South Africa is already being
touted. Yes, South Africa is already being touted. I mean, I saw it, but we're still having issues with people even knowing what .ng is. People are always used to .com, Indeed. And now if you say .africa, you have to really educate people. Indeed. Is that really a URL? It becomes more complex. And you see the adoption that people are really having right now to .ng is like really massive. People know that, yes, it is a domain name. And it's also in terms of Google SEO, it favors, local searches and all. But I must say that we're thinking Africa, because the potential of what we can do is not limited to Nigeria alone. And this kind of problems too, it's very visible in other African countries. A whole lot of people write the exams, there is mass failure. I mean, there's a way we can bridge the educational gap, that the infrastructure provision cannot cater for right now, because there's so many so many students. There are few schools, not enough teachers, or even underqualified teachers. And this is something that is rampant all across Africa. So the potential is there. It's just that we're taking it a bit at a time.
That's good. Let's go back to JAM for a quick minute. I know that Pastord.ng now provides tutoring for the CBT, because, you have to know how to do this thing before you go for the examination. Why did you make that a feature?
Because we realized that the moment JAM went into CBT, now students are faced with two good audits. It's not just enough knowing the subject area, you also have to be educated on the use of the computer. And the biggest problem they are now having is that they don't even understand how the computer works. We've handled trainees where we've seen students cannot even move a computer. It knows the correct answer, but it cannot click. That is really worse. It can't even guess. Imagine if somebody knows computer, he can still pick whatever it is he thinks is the answer. This time he knows the answer, but could not, just click on it. So I felt like students have to be really educated about it. And that was when we started the idea of Pastord.ng tool as well, because it coincided with the time JAM announced that they're going CBT. So there was a whole lot of pandemonium. How do I go about it? I really don't understand what CBT means. So we felt, if you have a mobile phone, how many of you have a mobile phone? Yeah, I do. Don't worry. we're going to simulate that same exam electronically on your phone. And good enough, when people come, they familiarize themselves with it already on Pass. So when they go in to write the exam, it's like a walk in the park.
What's the, when you look at the training that you give to them, on the average, how long is it?
So on the average, it's about, it takes a student less than 8 hours to actually familiarize themselves with what it means with a CBT. I mean, because that's like an average time of taking, let's say, 4 tests. Okay. You know, so if you can repeat it, you can do everything yourself. Of course, you master it. But typically, people spend about 2 to 3 months, preparing for such exams on the platform. So first time, they might spend the whole day just trying to figure out how CBT works. And afterwards, they now begin the real learning, mastering, answering the questions and making sure that they improve their performance.
I mean, while it's a good thing that you are making this a feature of Pastord.ng and you're educating people on the use of computers beyond even the academic aspect, some people still have the opinion that perhaps JAMB or Nigeria is not ready for such an aggressive digital evolution, right? We have issues with electricity, we have issues with data, because I believe that some of these, the CBT test also runs on internet. I mean, so when you look at all of these challenges, do you think it's a good assertion to have that, perhaps let's just stick to our paper and biro and shading sheets?
No, I don't think so. You see, there are always challenges, even if you think everything is good and you have it all set. So the thing is that if you look at CBT, it comes with more advantages than the disadvantages. Fine, we might say we don't have the infrastructure, right? There's no power. But think about it, when power comes today, right? It just meets an already solved problem, so it even becomes better. And so that's why we're doing, the JAMB examination board has put in so many things in place to make sure that the centers are going to be running as constant electricity by generator and all of that. So I believe that advancement in education is something that is not negotiable. And the fact that students can actually take these examinations under 2 hours and get their result processed immediately and the following day, we don't have the issues of people going there and buying back scores, tipping somebody to get a better remark and a better score. And so I think it's really important that JAMB has taken that step and they've moved in that line. If you also notice, it has given people like me and several other people in the technology space to also provide solutions that complement that offering. So it is something good, while we can't shy away from the fact that we still face, some infrastructural gap. We have that problem in Nigeria, and I think it cuts across every sector. But at the same time, each and individual of us individual of those sectors have to make progress, right? And it's a welcome development.
Beautiful. Let's now come down to perhaps the reason why you're here and why we had to reach out to you. Now, very interestingly, I heard a gist that your sister used your platform to prepare for her examinations, and she really excelled at it. How did it feel having a family member use your product? Did you feel insecure at any point?
At first, I thought, hey, if my family member should write German film, what am I going to tell the whole world? So interestingly, I was super excited when I checked her results, and I said she scored 276.
Beautiful.
I felt, hey man, this is the best way she can support me. Right. She does. Of course, she hasn't given me one dime. She's always been collecting money.
It's gonna happen for a long time. Until she's done.
Yeah. I mean, but this is really good. I felt, sometimes when you create solutions, you can't see into the fact that you're building stuff that can help yourself, your family. You're always thinking of, hey, there are 2 million Nigerians failing an exam, as if, your families are not part of it.
That's statistic.
And so you always, that's why it's very important for us to create products that are very credible, products that actually address the bane of the problem we want to solve. And when she used it, she was writing an exam, and of course, I wouldn't have even advised any other way to prepare for it than Pass.ng.
Right.
So I felt like, in one way, I'm responsible for whatever happens to her. So it's also a subtle way for me to say, okay, so now eat your food, test your product yourself.
Right. Well, did she face any challenges? Did she share with you any challenges that she faced prior to that time, and maybe even after writing the examination?
Yeah, she did. I mean, there was some funny incident that happened where she was supposed to write her exam, which was LAUTECH. There's a crisis going on in the school around that period. and the school was shut.
It's still not been sorted out.
No. Up until now, it's not. And so the students, the undergraduates, prevented everybody, including the prospective JAMBite, from writing the examination. So they had to relocate somewhere else, I think somewhere in Shaki, and she had to spend like almost 4 hours together. She's never been there before. She had to sleep in a stranger's house. I mean, like, very remote area. And eventually, she got back to town after that exam that day, maybe around 12 midnight. Wow. Say 17-year-old girl anyway, just to write JAMB exam. Imagine the trauma a student has been subjected to. So even at that, just because she had had enough preparation, adequate preparation, she studied very well over time, and of course, taking enough practice to learn Pass.ng, she was able to come out well. Maybe she would have even had 310 and she would have made me more proud.
But I mean, when you get that as feedback from someone who has used the platform, what would your suggestion or recommendation be to the exam bodies?
I mean, we always like to look at what the problem and what the challenges is. That's why students are not even passing the exam in the first place. So if you get that kind of feedback from students, I think it is our own duty in our own way to also make sure that we inform the examination bodies to contribute to to contribute to seeing that students are able to take the exam stress-free. It's not good when you want to go in to take such tests and you are still subjected to a whole lot of stress, right? And so we frown so much against it, but most importantly is that we also want the students, to prepare for whatever it is they might face around that moment. So that's why we always keep, addressing to the student that the best thing you can do is to make sure that if you want to score 300, prepare as if you want 400, right? So if whatever uncertainty happens along the line, you can fall below 300, right? But it's something we're not so proud of, that our educational system in Nigeria still subjects students to such a great, stress. And if you also look at it, it's not absolutely the fault of JAMB. It all sprang from even the higher institution itself, the tertiary institution. So there's a big problem with the tertiary institution where strike actions and the management are not totally responsible for how the school is being run. The two state government has been at loggerheads with each other, blaming and all the likes. And Osun State. Now imagine this is the institution that people are trying to even write the exam to get into. So there's even a problem even when they pass the exam. She's been admitted into school, and the school is closed, and they took acceptance free LAUTECH from over 5,000 students, and the school is shut. So you see, the problem is not even JAMB again. It now goes into each and individual of those institutions. So the Ministry of Education, the federal government, in such situations, they have to step up, address the matter, and even maybe take over the ownership of the university. It's not just in the interest of both the two states, but in the best interest of the student. And over 30,000 students right now are at home doing nothing.
Now let's go back to your sister's score, which is really exciting. I know that Pastord.ng some time ago rewarded students for getting high marks. Does that award still exist?
Yes, it does. Okay. We have the Pastord.ng Excellence Award, where we select top brains, and of course people who have used Pastord.ng app too. They made us very proud. When we had the first edition in 2015, we had the likes of Faith, Bamidele, Joshua Ani. They scored like 291, 287, nice. Very fantastic. And they're both doing very well in university right now. Unilag, one is studying accounting and the other, economics. Okay. And so we do this event to send, the right signals to students, to let them understand that in this world we live in, it all looks like it's all about entertainment, social media, musicians around there. Yeah, but there's a whole lot that that is expected of us as a nation, even just beyond entertainment, and it's a way to recognize them, to let them understand that there is still a body out there that appreciates what they do in terms of making us proud in the academics. So it's very important, because you see that even in universities, the best graduating student gets a mug, Miss Nigeria, or Miss
A
University
brand
get a
new
brand new car.
with some millions in your bank account.
Why that is not bad, but somebody also have to reward excellence, academic excellence. So that's what we've been trying to do, because people have the notion that, hey, I have to write this exam maybe 4 times, 3 times before I pass. All those people we showcased, they wrote the exam once and they secured their admission.
What's your relationship with Airtel now?
Well, it's been a good one so far. In the early days, we partnered with them at first, and they were able to help us scale, and of course reach a whole lot of audience that we wouldn't have been able to reach outside the shores of Southwest. And so the relationship is good. We have a USSD running on Airtel star 727 hash, where people can just dial and
star 727
yes,
hash.
star 727 hash. So people can just easily pay for our product by that USSD gun. And so they've been very helpful. Yeah.
Looking into the next, say, couple of years, where is Pass.ng going?
In the next couple of years, we want to advance our offerings. We want to go beyond test prep. We see that there's a whole lot of value that we can add, in that chain, other than just test prep, because we've realized when people take test prep and they discover that when people take tests on our platform and they discover their weakness, because we run a diagnostic assessment of them, and they see that, hey, I'm bad in English, I need to improve on trigonometry and mathematics. We want to also be able to come to their rescue by providing them with tutoring, by providing them with video materials or even textbooks that they can use at that moment. So we don't want to make sure that people can learn as much as they can and have the full confidence that they are ready to face whatever assessment it is, or even just learn, learn for things that they want to know about
just
in life.
Curiosity,
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's been very insightful.
Thank you.
Very insightful. And all the best in the future.
Thank you so much.
By the time things change, yet again, we'll have you here.
Sure.
That's all we have time for today on TechCity Insights. The CEO and founder of Pass.ng, Samson Abioye, sharing with us what Pastord.ng has been able to help the Nigerian students achieve and even advance on with their academics, subjects, etc., and how they're also helping the education sector in Nigeria become a better one, getting less criticisms and a few more thumbs up. That's all we have time for. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section right below, and we'd love to answer them. See you next time.
We thank you for watching this episode of TechCity Insights. As much as you can, please spread the word of the platform, Pass.ng, and all that they hope to achieve in the education sector in Nigeria, especially for the young ones who have to write one exam or the other. Our hearts go out to the Pastord.ng team and the family of the Abioyes. From all of us here at TechCity, rest in peace, Samson Abioye. Till we meet to part no more.